Post-match chat is live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's day 2 of the PSL. We've had games 2 and 3 of this year's PSL. They're in the books, they're history, they're done, they're completed. First, we had Lahore Qalandars, and they relatively comfortably beat the Peshawar Zalmi by 4 wickets. It sounds like it was closer than it was. It wasn't really that close. And the second game was a lot tighter. It was Multan Sultans. Got really, really close, but couldn't quite there in the end. Islamabad United closed out the game, won that one by 3 wickets. So the Karachi curse continues. Teams that bat first lose every single game, all 3 of them so far in PSL 6. My name is Aatif Nawaz. Really pleased to have again with me my friends. I've got Armaan Kirmani, Anam Nadeem, and they're going to tell you all about how they've been feeling about today's action. First of all, Anam, what was your favorite part of the day's play? We had 2 matches. लेकिन आज का सबसे favorite moment क्या था?
एक्चुअली 2 हैं. पहले तो है राशिद खान का जो मिड विकेट पे उसने हेलीकॉप्टर स्वीप शॉट मारा था छक्का टू विन द मैच. आई मीन दैट गाय इज इनसेन. आई डोंट नो. एंड देन द स्वीट 16 लाला विद दैट रन आउट ऑफ 50 चाचा. आई मीन उसके अलावा क्या हो सकता है यार. मतलब लाला, यू कैन नॉट कीप हिम आउट ऑफ द मैच एट एनी पॉइंट.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, he's evergreen. I can't believe how unbelievably fit he is. And he's one of those people who's changed the perception of modern cricket. People, ek zamana tha, look at the 35, 36, iska career khatam ho gaya. He's 40 and he's still playing, as good as any leg spinner in the world, really. I don't know.
No, but are you sure he's 40? I don't think so.
Zyada kam kya?
मतलब 16 साल के हैं लाला की एज इज फिक्स्ड. ही 16. उससे ऊपर नहीं जा सकते.
Well, he looks younger than some of the other 20-something-year-olds in world cricket. लेकिन उनकी हम बात नहीं अभी छेड़ेंगे. Armaan, what was your favorite moment of the day's play? I'm looking forward to this one. I know you've got something special.
The thing I'm really enjoying right now is, they've got this initiative where they're promoting Pakistani heroes at the moment. ठीक है ना? And during the middle of the innings, they introduced in the first match a martial arts specialist. And, I'm so proud that Pakistan is, celebrating its heroes during PSL 6, because this guy holds the world record for basically breaking watermelons with his head. मतलब कि तरबूजा अपने सर से मार के गिनेस बुक ऑफ वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड में बंदा पहुंच चुका है, और अब हम इस चीज को सेलिब्रेट करना चाहते हैं on par with the excellence of Pakistani heroes. And, that for me is Pakistani humor, but actually they weren't trying to be funny. So, is hisab se, I was just thinking nothing else in these matches can live up to the fact that this guy, and by the way, that's not one. Apparently, he also bashes akhrots and stuff as well, and beer cans. So he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for about 30 or 40 things, and he's actually created a school where he's trying to inspire the youngsters of Pakistan to break more akhrots than he has, or zyada tarbuze tod sakte hain apne sar se. So is hisab se, I don't know if any of the PSL matches can live up to that, but I wish I was actually joking. That actually happened in today's broadcast.
Yeah, no, I saw it. It was hilarious, actually. Like, the thing is, the guy didn't look like a martial artist. Like, he looked really kind of formal, studious. He had the glasses and the very kind of nice, tidy haircut. But I looked him up while we were watching it. He breaks watermelon. He's got the record for watermelons with his with his head, and then he knocked the mic over, which was the funniest thing I've seen ever. He just like accidentally elbowed it, and then he had this expression on his face, like. And even Zainab Basu was with him. She had to really work hard not to laugh there as she handed it back to the commentators. But that was a great moment. It's an interesting thing because my moment is very similar to that. My moment is, it's David Gower who's commentating this year on the PSL. It's really amazing for Pakistan to have him. He adds a lot of credibility, and he's got this beautiful history as a broadcaster. Everybody loves David Gower, and now he's commentating in Pakistan, and this is wonderful for us. But like, there was a moment where a beautiful cover drive was played through the covers, and David Gower on commentary had to use the phrase, that was a beautiful Brighto paint drive. He said David Gower had to say Brighto paints drive. I felt awful just hearing that happen. I understand. Look, here's the thing. Let's talk about this, right? I don't have any issue with money in sport. I understand that sponsors and brands, and it's great that Pakistan's managed to attract this many sponsors and things. But like, एक हद होती है यार. Like you don't want to look like a Formula One driver with like things all over you. Helmet पे है, collar पे है, side shirt पे इधर है, side shirt पे इधर है, इधर पीछे सब गोल लिखा हुआ है. B for you movies promote. I don't know why. There's so much stuff going on. It's just too like I don't know. Arman, is it too much, or am I crazy?
No, I don't think it's that much. If you watch the IPL, मैंने वहाँ पे भी देखी ये सब चीज़ होती है. हमारा का छक्का और पता नहीं this moment is sponsored by whatever brand they have over there. I don't really know. But what I'm saying is, I think, look, it takes baby steps. ठीक है ना? सबसे पहले बात ये है कि we've got the PSL going. This is a good indication that brands are sponsoring it. It will grow. Yeah, look, we have teething problems. We have production value issues, and we just don't have the experience in terms of promoting brands at such an international level. It's the first time, really, correct me if I'm wrong, that the PSL has got such huge international distribution in terms of live. I know they did YouTube last year, but they've really gone to the next level. And I suppose when you go from a domestic market to an international audience, then the sensibilities need to be adapted. And we just haven't mastered that yet in terms of Pakistani production value. That's why it's looking a little bit crass when we're watching it from a British lens, because we're used to watching things, obviously from our perspective over here. Lekin, celebrate the positive. Paisa aa raha hai game mein, brand sponsor kar rahe hain. I'm all for it.
I'm with you. I understand. Ek had tak theek hai. Like, I understand that the money means you can attract the best players. The production value has been incredible this year. The spider cams and all these other cams, and the broadcast looks beautiful. It looks incredible. Lekin Anam yaar, mujhe batao. Match chal raha hai. theek hai. It's getting tight. Okay, 30 to get off 25 balls, and now all of a sudden, for no reason at all, I'm gonna watch 5 people in the crowd eat donuts and drink tea. Like it's. When it's distracting from the game, I think it's too much. What do you think?
हाँ है थोड़ा सा ज्यादा मतलब ठीक है पैसा आ रहा है अच्छी बात है but then adding on to this point वो ये वाला भी बहुत हो रहा है and I don't know if you've noticed आज हसन अली ने भी किया वहाब ने भी किया and I don't know for some reason I think ये paid promotion है ये भी पहले मुझे लग रहा था कि हाँ head and shoulders वाली पहले मुझे लगा इमाद ने कल किया so this is his new style but आज जब हसन ने भी किया वहाब ने भी किया I think it's paid so I don't know. चलो celebration तक की हद तक तो ठीक है, but donuts and chai panning on to them जब match फंसा हुआ है, it's cringe. I mean, that's the word. It's cringe.
It is.
You don't want to see that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like you said, Rahman, it's like this is a global broadcast now, right? This is the first time people around the world are properly getting to see Pakistani cricket. Particularly, I mean, here's one thing that nobody talks about. The PSL is being broadcast in obviously around the world, but also in India. Like nobody talks about it, but it's showing in India. जब वो graphic दिखाते हैं कि कौन से channels पे आप देख सकते हैं, if you're in Australia, if you're in New Zealand, if you're in America, wherever, but they conveniently leave out India, even though they're showing it on Sony 6 in India, the channel. And in India, they don't promote it very much either. It's really, this pick and choosiness. It makes me uncomfortable. Arman, tell me, what am I feeling?
I don't think they have missed out India. They just bracket it under South Asia except Pakistan.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you're missing. They do have it there. And they do say Sony 10 as well. So I think they just don't say India. They say South Asia. So they're including Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka as well. So I think that you might have missed that over there. I just have a slightly different viewpoint. I think that if we are going to export Pakistani PSL cricket, we should keep to our sensibilities. You're right that we are broadcasting to an international audience, but I'm uncomfortable with the fact that we have to present this in a way that Australia will do the BBL or England will do the 100 or have it in sort of a way which takes away from, the Pakistani roots in terms of, our culture and stuff. Now, I understand some of it is very crass and cringe, as Anam said as well, looking from a sort of British lens. And I think that these things have to be improved. But at the end of the day, I want Tapal to be an international tea brand. It would be great when you go to Tesco and next to your Yorkshire tea, you have Tapal brand in the future. And that now is a possibility. You laugh at it, but these things, this is how these brands work. Like it's good for Pakistani brands, and I would love to see that. And I like the little things, the little vignettes they do and the animations, and they have a Pakistani rickshaw and the Pakistani bus and stuff. Mujhe bahut acha lagta hai, because ultimately, we are celebrating Pakistan through the PSL, and that's really what it should be all about. Otherwise, we're just going to become a homogenous sort of franchise cricket league, which is no good for anybody.
So yeah, but I'm thinking sometimes if you overdo something, people can have a negative reaction to it as well. So people who've never discovered the Tapal tea, like if you're watching the PSL, you'll discover it in the first 2 days. days, right? But by the time it's day 30 and you're still getting, you're getting overhit by things, it can have the opposite effect. But I'll agree to let that go totally. What I want to talk about is the English players are lighting up the PSL at the moment. The English boys are doing great stuff. Okay, Ravi Bopara looked very good today. Alex Hills, he didn't go all the way, but he looked pretty good. We had Joe Clark yesterday, and obviously David Gower on commentary. The English players are enjoying a little bit of success. I mean, is it? What do you think, Anam? Like, is there still a box office appeal to English players, or is it like बहुत मामूली चीज़ है English players आके पाकिस्तान में खेलते हैं?
मुझे लगता है अब PSL 6 है तो आई थिंक अब तो थोड़ा नॉर्मलाइज हो गया है कि प्लेयर्स आ रहे हैं खेल रहे हैं. हाँ, अगर 2 साल पहले की बात करते हैं या प्रॉब्ली 3 साल पहले की तो लगता कि यार दिस इज बॉक्स ऑफिस स्टफ, बट नाउ इट्स लाइक नॉर्मल कि हाँ यार आए हैं प्लेयर्स खेल रहे हैं, अच्छी बात है, दे लाइटिंग इट अप. एलेक्स हेल्स पिछले साल भी था, एलेक्स हेल्स, रवि बोपारा हैज बीन अ कांस्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ PSL थ्रू आउट. तो मेरी सबसे ज्यादा खुशी इस वक्त डेविड गावर के लिए है कि वो यहाँ पे है और कमेंट्री कर रहा है. दैट्स बॉक्स ऑफिस स्टफ फॉर मी फॉर एटलीस्ट दिस PSL राइट नाउ.
It is pretty exciting, and these players coming over. This has got to be good for Pakistan in the sense that England, Armaan, are more likely to tour Pakistan if a bunch of players and broadcasters from England have gone to Pakistan and we had a great time, we had tea, we had donuts, and we played some great cricket.
यार इंग्लैंड आती तो है, उनको हम हमेशा हरा भी देते हैं, तो मतलब कि इसमें इतनी स्पेशल बात क्या है? मतलब कि आने दो, खुद उन्होंने हवा बनाया हुआ भाई पाकिस्तान नहीं आएंगे. या ऑफ कोर्स वी ऑल नो व्हाट द इश्यूज वर, टीम्स आर नॉट टूरिंग पाकिस्तान, लेकिन हम जब इंग्लैंड आते हैं हम भी यहाँ पे हमेशा मैच जीत ही जाते हैं. तो मेरे लिए तो इट्स नॉट दैट बिग अ डील टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट विद यू कि ये लोग आ रहे हैं. मुझे खुशी है कि आ रहे हैं. नॉर्मल, वी शुड जस्ट नॉर्मलाइज दिस प्रोसेस. द मोर वी मेक इट अ बिग डील कि यार डेविड गावर पाकिस्तान आया, यार जब रनीज आ जाए इंग्लैंड आता है कि यहाँ पे झंडे हम लोग यहाँ पे गाड़ते हैं कि यार पाकिस्तानी लंदन आ गया, तो वी शुड जस्ट टेक अ चिल पिल. एट द एंड ऑफ द डे हमने बहुत इनका बहुत बेहतरीन तरीके से इनको वेलकम किया है, इन इंग्लिश प्लेयर्स को जिनको स्पेन खेलना नहीं आता. इनके लिए हमने घास की विकेटें भी दी है. हम कुछ ज्यादा ही ओवर हो रहे हैं, ठीक है ना? जब ये लाहौर बता रहा हूँ when they get to Gaddafi, like Alex Hales has an average of like 90 against seamers and an average of 16 against spinners. आज भी उसे बोल्ड किया था हमारे 40 साल के 16-year-old शाहिद अफरीदी ने. So the point I'm trying to say is it's great that we've got the world champions, controversial world champions, but we've got English players coming. But at the same time, they'll get tested. They'll get tested when the wicket doesn't suit them and we get our spinners involved. They'll be tested.
चलो देखते हैं. जो भी फैंटेसी लीग खेल रहे हैं अपने इंग्लिश प्लेयर्स बच के रखो. But since you mentioned age, right, I got to bring this up. This is only 3 games into the PSL, and already we've seen 20-year-old Arshad take 3 for 16. We've seen 20-year-old Hasnan take 2 for 18. We've seen 20-year-old Shaheen take 3 for 14. And today, probably the most impressive for me, 19-year-old Mohammad Wasim take 3 for 29. Like, already, the fast bowlers are shining. They're getting that assistance at the National Stadium in Karachi, and they're really taking advantage of it. This is exactly what we want from the PSL, Anam.
Absolutely, और फास्ट पेस इज पेस यार. और मतलब जब इस तरह का आपको परफॉर्मेंस देखने को मिल रही है एंड दे पुटिंग ऑल देयर हार्ट इनटू इट, इट्स नथिंग लाइक इट. और पेस बॉलर्स का सीन ये है कि जब फास्ट बॉलर्स भागते हुए आते हैं, वो शोएब अख्तर ने पिछले दिनों में, आई डोंट नो इफ यू सीन दैट, कि जी फास्ट बॉलर जो है उसके बाल लहराते हुए होने चाहिए, जरा स्वैग होना चाहिए और ये वो. बट इन सब बॉयज की अपनी पर्सनालिटी है, किसी के लंबे बाल या उस तरह का नहीं है, बट देव गॉट द स्वैग इंटैक्ट. और being a fast bowler myself, I think there's no better sight than a fast bowler running in 140, 141, 142 kph वो जा रहा है और करवा रहा है. That's just brilliant to see.
It really is. I mean, we saw some beautiful dismissals. Wahab Riaz as well today. I think we got to touch on this COVID thing, by the way. I don't want to draw attention to it, but it feels like, they're bending the rules massively, and they've made this thing like, okay, so they tested positive or they had the infraction. Sorry, they didn't test positive. They broke the rules, and then they said, well, let us back in the bubble. We'll do 2 tests in 1 day. And Dr. Samara Afzal, who's a cricketer and a doctor in England, she mentioned that it takes 5 to 6 days for for COVID to test once you have it. So just doing the test isn't enough. And obviously that could go really wrong, Armaan. If one of them infected multiple people in the Peshawar team, that would be an absolute nightmare, and it's not something that they can just ignore.
Yeah, I think this is a question for Anam. I'm not a doctor. I wasn't there. ठीक है ना, लेकिन यार इनसे बोलो यार जरा काम करें, मतलब कि वी हैव अ PSL, जरा पार्टी वार्टी कम करें, जरा मैच पे जरा फोकस करें, इंटरनेशनल ऑडियंस पे जा रहा है। अब ये ना हो इनकी स्टुपिडिटी की वजह से बाहर ये लोग अब बबल में नहीं रह पाते, तो उसकी वजह से हमारा पूरा PSL जेपरडाइज हो जाए। तो यार थोड़ा सा एक्सट्रीम हो जाऊंगा मैं, टेक इट टू Anam, बिकॉज़ दिस इज रिडिकुलस।
I mean, I agree. It just really worries me, Anam. You get, एक छोटी सी गलती से बहुत फैल सकता है, and in
बिल्कुल
general,
ऐसे ही
this
है.
Pakistan इसको seriously नहीं ले रहा, ये the COVID thing, and this doesn't help the international image.
It doesn't. और दूसरा जो एक क्वेश्चन मार्क है वो PSL और PCB की मैनेजमेंट के ऊपर भी आता है, क्योंकि आज एक दो जर्नलिस्ट को मैंने ट्वीट करते हुए देखा था, वो बोल रहे थे कि प्रॉब्ली पेशावर ज़ल्मी ने थ्रेट किया था कि अगर वहाब को और सैमी को वापस बबल के अंदर नहीं डालेंगे और खेलने नहीं देंगे तो they'll probably forfeit the match or something. I don't know if it's true or not, but somebody said it out loud. And what image and what message are we giving to the international arena with this behavior? I don't know. It's ridiculous, obviously. अरमान का pissed off होना बिल्कुल जायज है, और किसी का भी, क्योंकि ये मजाक नहीं है, और आपकी एक छोटी सी गलती जो है वो पूरे टूर्नामेंट को जेपरडाइज कर सकती है. अभी क्राउड भी बैठा हुआ है, सब लोग एक बबल मेंटेन कर रहे हैं. हाउ हार्ड इज इट? आप लोग 2 साल के बच्चे तो हो नहीं हो, मतलब यू शुड नो बेटर कि भाई प्रोटोकॉल जो है उसको फॉलो करना है, ये कोई मजाक नहीं चल रहा है यहाँ पे. सो या आई डोंट नो, पीसीबी को थोड़ा सा इस पे एक्शन थोड़ा सा स्ट्रिक्ट होना चाहिए था. आई डोंट नो व्हाई दे लेट इट गो दिस इजीली.
Yeah, I know. I think दूसरी बात, yeah, and Arman is right, is one in the sense that कि हमें सारी, we don't have all the information, so it's possible that we're not privy to something. It's just, surely at this point, the PCB and the media and everything, they understand that Pakistani cricket fans and journalists and the media will jump on anything. So you just
Yeah.
make it clearer, right? But okay, we can't control that. But I just had to say it because a lot of people just chose to ignore it because it's uncomfortable and doesn't fit the narrative. But it's important, And another thing that we should mention that hasn't been going particularly well is Pakistan's international middle order batsmen. They're all struggling. Hushdil flopped today.
Yeah.
Hussain Talat is not getting anywhere. Iftikhar, who was once Misbah's kind of promised land, he's struggled as well. The guys up top, the opening batsmen, they all struggle.
बात सुनता है यार, please, for God's sake.
क्या हुआ?
मिसबा की फिर तुम बता रहे हो कि Misbah's man, what were you expecting from him?
Misbah was our most successful test captain of all time.
And we're playing T20 है यार, सोचो क्या बोल रहे हो
अच्छी
यार.
खेला करता था.
तोबा, छोड़ो यार.
Misbah played great T20 cricket. What's wrong with this T20 cricket?
दुनिया में देखो हम कहाँ से कहाँ T20 क्रिकेट पहुंच गए हैं. हम अभी तक मतलब कि मिसबा के आदमियों को अगर हम रिलाई कर रहे हैं तो फिर तो अल्लाह ही खैर है ना फिर पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट का. और ये जो सब बच्चे आपने नेम किए, the newcomers, Khushdil Shah, Hussain Talat, they're not Pakistani regulars. They're all guys that we have tried out over the last 1 or 2 years, and they've been really inconsistent. And to be frank with you, they're probably not going to survive. So I don't think it's that big a deal, but we are giving opportunities more than most teams do to young players. We should celebrate that. And maybe even Misbah himself, I think he had like 5 or 6 barren years before he actually became an international level player that was really, really credible towards the end.
Yeah, he was left out in the cold for a long time. A lot, like people talk about Fawad being left out, and that was longer. But Misbah didn't make a comeback until he was in his 30s. चलो ठीक है, I'll let Misbah go. लेकिन ये जो सारे regulars हैं जो पाकिस्तान की टीम पे fringes जो players हैं, इमामुल हक कर लो. Okay, I think we'll agree he's a decent player. There's no necessarily any kind of agenda there, but he really he chased a wide one today, and that was Gower's shining moment today as well.
Embarrassing.
Shaheen pushing one a little bit wider. It went a little bit away from him, but he really shouldn't be chasing at that one. And like, this is really worrying. It's a worrying trend for me anyway, because a lot of Pakistan's fringe players, the players that we're struggling with in the national team, they haven't quite fired yet. Anam, what do you think?
पहले बात तो ये कि अभी पहले आपने बोला कि वी प्रोड्यूसिंग ग्रेट फास्ट बॉलर्स, यंगस्टर्स 20 साल के, 22 साल के, 19 साल के, और दूसरी तरफ जो हम लोग को बहुत जरूरत है वो बैट्समैन की है, और वो मिसिंग है. ठीक है, अब मसला सारा यहाँ पे आता है कि डोमेस्टिक की जब बात करते हैं, कहते हैं जी डोमेस्टिक की परफॉर्मेंस से उठाओ, डोमेस्टिक में अच्छा कर रहे हैं, टीम में ले आओ. नो डाउट खुशदिल ने, सुहेब मकसूद ने, अभी चलो वो मैं नहीं कह रही कि वो टीम के साथ, नेशनल टीम के साथ था, बट जस्ट सेइंग, इवन हुसैन तलत, ऑल ऑफ देम परफॉर्म्ड रियली वेल ड्यूरिंग द डोमेस्टिक सीजन, इवन इन द T20s एंड द ODIs. बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू परफॉर्मिंग इन द नेशनल साइड, आई डोंट नो व्हाट गोज रॉन्ग. वो मतलब वो जो ब्रिज है जो आपने क्रॉस कर नेशनल साइड के लिए परफॉर्म करना है, वो क्यों नहीं इनसे वो हल हो रही प्रॉब्लम, मुझे नहीं पता कि कहाँ पे मसला आता है. इंटरनेशनल टीम में जब जाते हैं, हैदर अली ठीक है, he's young, but then again another guy who showed so much promise, so much talent, all of a sudden we don't know कि उसके साथ मसला क्या है. उसको लोग एकदम से वो एक इस level पे आके he's nosedived completely. Though he still has a lot of time on his hand to turn things around for himself. But I'm just saying, it's unfortunate कि batting जो है वो उस तरह से outshine नहीं कर पाती है.
Absolutely, and I mean, at least he's making the team. Poor Shan Masood. He was the captain last year. He didn't even make the starting 11.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worrying, but it is still early in the tournament, so we shouldn't be too harsh. I mean, they've only played one game each so far. So it's not, you're right. Every judge couldn't get the hazard, but early signs are it's a little bit worrying, and it's something to look out for. And it's really the foreign players who are making a lot of the noise. Who's caught your eye so far, man? Who have you looked at and thought, like, this guy's going to make my fantasy team on a regular basis?
Yeah, this guy Mohammad Wasim looked pretty good today. I watched him. He's not very exciting. He doesn't look like he's very box office, but he seems very efficient. There are a couple of other good bowlers in the first game. I think there's a guy called Daniel, if I'm not wrong, as well. Who they're not necessarily taking wickets, but they're looking promising. And I think थोड़ा बहुत जो हमारा obsession है ना box office के साथ and box office and stylish players. Like I think T20 is about having the wits and having a range of skills that you can bring out and use at the right time. But the thing that I would want to focus on is look how good our experienced players are playing. I mean, Rizwan was a relatively young player as well. Still, I mean, he's now gone leaps and bounds. And I think as a Pakistani sort of cricket fan, we're not very patient. ये it's not जरूरी कि या हर बंदा शायद अफरीदी के साथ के डेब्यू पे ऐसा सेंचुरी मार दे या वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड कर दे. I mean, we have that in our locker as a Pakistani nation. We are the most unpredictable nation in the world. We know that, right? In terms of talent. लेकिन you should not use that to judge all of our newcomers. Some people take 2, 3, 4 years before they'll blossom. तो मेरे लिए it's too early to say this guy should play or this, but look at our experience players. Rizwan's doing well. Shoaib Malik again has started off well. Afridi is looking good with the ball and he's still looking good in the field. Wahab Riaz is still bowling well. Shaheen Shah Afridi is bowling well. So there's a lot of promise.
Yeah,
तो अरमान मसला ये है कि T20 World Cup is right around the corner and we still don't know कि हमारी टीम में कौन आने वाला है कौन नहीं आने वाला, who's going to fit in, who's not going to fit in. तो वो उस वजह से एक थोड़ा सा मसला है because we don't have like 2-3 years to discover talent and groom them. We need players जो instantly fit in हो.
ठीक है, लेकिन मैं उस हिसाब से ये भी कहूँगा we have found Rizwan. We have found obviously Babar Azam is there. We have Mohammad Hafiz. We have 3 world-class T20 players, which is pretty much all we will have to rely on when it comes to setting target. I mean, T20 mein, your top 3 or your top 4 are basically integral because they will be the people that will be facing the most balls. Then lower down, we've got Fahim Ashraf, who's been excellent as well. We've got Shaheen Shah Afridi, who's been brilliant as well. We've got people like Imad Wasim that are yet to still come in, but he's been pretty good for Pakistan in this format as well. Shadab Khan is there. So we have a core of 7 or 8 players. और वो तो चाहे आप जितनी भी एक्सपीरियंस की टीम वर्ल्ड कप पे ले जाओ 2-3 चेंजेस तो ड्यूरिंग द टूर्नामेंट वो वैसे ही होने वाली है, लेकिन आवर स्केलेटन इज लुकिंग वेरी प्रॉमिसिंग. और पीएसएल के थ्रू अभी आप जब देखेंगे एट द एंड ऑफ द टूर्नामेंट द प्लेयर हु कम्स आउट विद द हाईएस्ट रन्स एंड द प्लेयर हु कम्स आउट विद द हाईएस्ट विकेट्स एंड द स्पिनर, इसमें से 3-4 आप ऐड कर लोगे. ऑलरेडी वी हैव 7-8, 3-4 तो लाजमी यहां से जाएंगे भाई. इंडिया में तो जीतना है.
It's a long way to go. I agree with both of you actually. A, it's slightly worrying, and B, we've got time to discover them as well over the course of this tournament. And it's not like some of these players, Hushdil's played a bit of international cricket, Haidar's played cricket, Santala's played cricket, Usman Qadir's played cricket, they've tried their best recently, Pakistan, to get these guys going. So hopefully by then there's still a lot of cricket to play between now and the World Cup. They've got the away tour to England, they're hosting England, they are going away to South Africa, and there'll be something in between that as well, I'm sure. So hopefully we'll get a chance to see them before. Listen, this has been fun, guys. Before we go, a reminder on yesterday's predictions. Tiga, we both got one right each, Armaan. Tiga, we both said Lahore would win, and Lahore won. Tiga, we said Multan would win. We were wrong on that. Islamabad clinched it. It could have gone either way, but Islamabad clinched it.
Close game. बहुत close game था.
बहुत close game. They were very close. Absolutely. अच्छा, Anam, ये क्या हुआ? दोनों गलत. Like 50-50 chance था.
मेरी wall of shame कहाँ है भाई? I don't know, man.
दोनों नहीं, तीनों गलत. जैसे कि she also said Quetta would beat Karachi. मैं ये भी बता दूँ.
चलो
अच्छा चलो ठीक है, हाँ ठीक है, because
उसको हमने शामिल नहीं किया था. We'll let that one go.
हाँ, but let it, ठीक है, Quetta, I support Quetta, तो fit है. Let's leave it at that.
Sport समझ के ना, there's a lot of pressure on this now. Tomorrow it's Lahore versus Quetta. You've got to score some points here. Who's going to win the game?
Quetta.
Wee, big pick going for Quetta.
Yeah.
So I think that's really risky. Armaan?
यार इसकी तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं कोयटा की टीम बेहतर है तो कोयटा
Really?
100% कोयटा की टीम बेहतर
Oh my God. Chalo yaar, kal points main le lunga. I'm going for Lahore, absolutely. Kyunki, you know, what do you mean QK? They won their game today pretty comfortably. I agree with you in the sense they're not the most complete team, but they've got, like you said, a team doesn't have to be box office. It just has to, everybody just has to play their role. And those players like David Wieser, you know, they just fill in all the gaps that you need. And anyway, chalo, they can get, maybe I will be wrong. And if I am, I will eat humble pie. Everybody who's watching, thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, subscribe, retweet, जो भी करना है please इसको share करो थोड़ा फैलाओ यार तुम हमें भी feel को enjoy कर रहा है. And the other thing is we're eventually going to start introducing your tweets and comments into the show. So if you have tweets and comments for the show, send them to us. If you've got personal questions about Armaan's personal life or about Anam's sunglasses, please send them to me and I will give you all the answers that you need. But for now, I will thank my two wonderful guests, Armaan Kirmani, Anam Nadeem. I'm Aatif Nawaz. Kal phir se we'll be back with post-match chat.